So I can explain this.
Please.
I came home today from work, and my wife and my daughter bought us all matching pajamas
For Halloween.
Yeah, well, I think it's pajama day at my daughter's school tomorrow, so she's going to wear jammies, and we just got which is kind of like historic that they have a 5X at the store that she went to. So I mean, there you go. And I'm in sort of like one of those weird binds. Hey, look, by the way, tell me what you think in the comments. I'm in one of hit my chin. I'm in one of those weird binds, Tim, where I need a 6X top and a medium bottom.
That's tough.
Yeah, I know. And they don't
a lot of drawstring being taken up.
They don't sell those in the same pack.
No.
So I told my wife she needed to do like Steve Martin did in the wedding movie. What's the name of that movie? My daughter's getting married or whatever. He tears.
My daughter's getting married too.
He tears the hot dog buns up and like throws 2 of the hot dog buns away because he only needs 8. That's what she should have done for this. We need a 6X top. We need a medium bottom. I put those bottoms on that were 6X. I could cut holes in the side. I'd be like Abdul the Butcher going to work.
Dude, that would be an awesome look. Look like that cop from that Friday the 13th knockoff movie.
Oh yeah, with the big clothes
that wouldn't fit.
Yeah, the big clothes. I remember. All right, so I'm going through this Maniac Cop stuff, and there's one right here that says Maniac Cop rap. We got to listen to this.
God, they were famous for a minute, man.
Maybe it's not like
movies. They were Fat Boy movies. They were like a troupe.
Tim, I don't know what is wrong with your thing right now. I'm gonna switch over. No, you're good. I'm gonna switch over to Bluetooth. Maybe you can hear it this way, because what I just fast forward and heard is, if you saw the change in my face. Here we go. Can you hear this?
Yes.
All right. I don't care if we get dinged.
This is from the movie.
Is it in the movie?
This part.
I don't remember. Then we got this part. It's about to get amazing. That's day 7, by the way. Or is it day 8? It's day 8. I'm sorry. Day 8. There's the.
What's that? Something sneaking around the corner. Here we come. I think it's that
maniac. This is great.
Robert Zadar.
You better watch out when you hear that sound. It means that the Maniac Cop's around. To make him stop. They put him in prison where they tried to kill him. But he broke out, now he's the villain. Bullets won't hurt him. I know it sounds like jive, but when I sure if he's dead or alive.
Set him on fire. I shoot him with an Uzi, but he'll show up in your jacuzzi. You can run him over. You can feel the poison. Push him out a window and it only annoys him. You better believe me if they think I'm lying. When he show up, people start dying. He's out for vengeance and he can't be stopped. That's why they call him the Maniac Cop.
You have the right to remain
Robert Zadar.
How old is this song?
90.
When was this movie? When did the movie come out?
1990.
I mean, how are they connected? Was this at the end of the credits and I wasn't paying attention?
If this is in the credits, this is the greatest credits ever. Yeah, I think it's just a situation where they hired a rap group to actually sing this song. Tim, we're talking Maniac Cop 2.
We are.
and we're talking phones going off. There have been lots of movies that we have reviewed from our audio podcast. One of the big things we did is we did Maniac Cop 1, and then we turned around because we thought it'd be funny. And during the audio podcast, we reviewed Maniac Cop 3, and they show you like 10 minutes of the previous movie.
Right.
And as we were watching it, we said we all said the same thing. We should have watched Maniac Cop 2 because it looked amazing.
It did. And it was.
Maniac Cop 1, for the people not informed, is about a maniac cop patrolling the streets of New York.
Cordell.
Matt Cordell, we find out at the end, killing people. There was a super cop named Matt Cordell who was framed by the people, the higher ups in the city, and sent to prison where he was killed because he put everybody in the maximum security prison.
Absolutely a super cop. Because
Robert,
massive.
Yeah, Robert Zadar and his chin star in this movie.
Does he not look? So when he's like moving through the police station, it's very Terminator-ish.
Exactly what they robbed from.
Super Terminator vibes here.
And also, I'm not sure this is a horror movie.
It's weird because none of the, like, it's straight up murder. Like, it's not scary. People are seeing it. Like, it's not like, you know, like the murders are surprising and it catches you off guard, but it's definitely not like a scary slasher flick.
No, it's an action movie. And it established itself from an action. I think it, like, the moment, and I know you want to talk about this, the moment they kill Bruce Campbell and the other chick, it switches from horror elements to just action elements, where the first one, you had the stalking elements, not knowing what was out there, people getting picked off one by one. This is just straight, hey, we're going to show you Matt Cordell. We're going to show you
Robert Davi like shoots a dude immediately when you see him.
Yeah, he's something like out of a Dick Tracy movie because he's walking around with a long coat. It was very Dirty Harry-ish inspired by this Robert Davi character.
Let me get this off my chest since it's been brought up. It threw me off that you would spend the first 10 minutes of this movie recapping the end of Maniac Cop 1.
Yes.
Where you've got your protagonist featured heavily. You've brought them back for the sequel. And you kill them. You spend so much of the early movie time with their characters.
Yes.
You don't set up a different protagonist. And I was like, why is the second half of this movie nothing but, you know, Cordell and the side characters? Dude, Cordell's the main character.
He is.
Like he becomes like at the end, I'm like, oh, I get it now. It's the Cordell redemption story.
Yeah, they Jason Voorheesed him and made him the central attraction.
Which was fantastic.
Yeah.
Great effect.
Here's my problem. You hit it on the head, and I'm not attached to Bruce Campbell or the other
Is
chick.
he famous at this point? Is Bruce Campbell a thing? Because either he had something else going on and was like, guys, you got to kill me, or he just took like $500 to show up and then be killed off because he has nothing else going on.
I checked the IMDb, and apparently it's a thing if you ask him about Maniac Cop 2 at these conventions that he goes to, that he insults you. Like, he's warned people, if you ask me about Maniac Cop 2, I'm going to like obliterate you verbally.
So they screwed him here.
I think it's a situation, and I could be wrong. Tell us in the comments. He admits
We're not Googling it, so
no, he admits that he was. Oh, I actually looked it up. Why is Bruce Campbell not in this movie a lot? He was going through a divorce at the time, and it sounds like he took it just to make a few bucks, or either he didn't have a big part because of the divorce. One of the two.
Right. She's not taking my money.
Yeah, she's not going to take my money. I'm going to make $8 from Maniac. But to answer your question, no, he wasn't a thing here. He's coming off of all of the, what were they called? Evil Dead movies. I don't even think they had made Army of Darkness yet. Pretty sure they hadn't made Army of Darkness yet. And it's not like that movie blew him up anyway. So he was a big guy as far as horror fans. And it wasn't like it is now in 2024 where all the horror fans are in the same place, social media, telling us who we should like. This is back in the day where you go rent a movie, you're like, hey, this dude's halfway decent. And then you see him again in Maniac Cop, and you're like, hey, he may end up turning up in a bunch of these horror movies, and boom, he gets stabbed in the neck in Maniac Cop 2.
Yeah, dude, I will say this, super shocked. Like, I was like, oh, wow, he's dead. Like, did not expect him to not be the guy for the rest of the movie.
I thought it was a pretty cool death at the end of part one. And they play, like you said, they play the entire death back, and you get to see how dangerous of a stunt the stunt man did by holding on to the side of that truck.
Being a big deal from when we did the first one. And that dude, there's no way that stunt man didn't take at least a little damage. He barely escaped getting crushed in the water by that falling truck.
Hi, Blake here. Ronnie asked me to send in a video to give my thoughts on Maniac Cop 2. I guess he wants me to be a part of 31 Days of Horror this year after all. So, what do I think of Maniac Cop 2? What's my favorite part? My favorite part of this movie is the beginning, when they recap the ending of part 1, because I love part 1. And that's my thoughts on Maniac Cop 2. Also, when Matt Cordell got in that bus at the end of part 1, what was his plan? Like, was he going to drive off the pier anyway? It ain't like Bruce Campbell distracted him and messed up his driving or grabbed the steering wheel or anything. I mean, he was literally going to drive off the pier if Bruce Campbell didn't mess with him at all. I mean, shit don't make any sense.
And they just totally no-sell that by having Cordell come out of the water and get into a car and drive off.
Yep.
Now, you talked about them ripping off Terminator when he goes to the police station and shoots everybody.
Do we just even talk about how awesome Cordell is? Like, when he starts, at the end of the movie, he does two things. He invades the police station and kills everyone in the coolest way possible. Not in a horror movie way. He's showing up just blasting. Like, there's bodies flying everywhere. He's got the move where he can throw you about 20 feet, and they do that a lot. I don't know if they had, like, rented, like, the rig to do that with, and they had one day, and they're like, everyone's going to get on this, and everyone's going to fly into a wall. But they used it. And then he goes into the prison, and he does the same thing. They're like, hey, you're really the good guy. We're sorry. And then he goes in and he's like, yes, I'm a good cop. And he just murders those dudes.
You were right. Oh, back to what I was talking about. They also copy Cobra, because the movie has a scene where this Mexican comes in to rob a store, and he puts the shotgun on the guy, or the pistol, whatever he had. And the guy's like, hey, I can't get in the safe. And he's like, hey, we'll wait till the morning. And I'm sitting there going, with Jesus, shoot me now. I got to wait with this rotten tooth bastard to the morning. Two cops show up. Then Cordell shows up, kills the two cops. The criminal is like, hey, thank you. Then he shoots the idiot behind the counter that had done the scratch off for $5,000.
Do you think Cordell cashed in that $5,000?
If he's smart, he did. But when he goes to live with Charles Manson later in the movie, I don't think he did. So
I wish Maniac Cop 3 would have just been the story of him with, like, some creepy dude underground. I would have went for that.
That would have been, I mean,
it's like a buddy. It's like a cop buddy movie. But
can I be completely honest with you?
Yes.
That's when I checked out.
Dude, really? When they went underground and he was like his friend?
I watched the whole movie. I watched the whole movie.
Yeah.
But when I mentally checked out and said, fuck, is when the guy from all these movies in the 80s, whose name I don't know, shows up looking like Charlie Manson.
Also, Ronnie, after we get that quick recap, that marks the second time that Matt Cordell has died. And I don't know if you and Tim or you have discussed this yet as far as this review goes, but I'm starting to think this guy's a maniac.
And he's all of a sudden Matt Cordell's friend. And then
he's not good at what he's trying to do. He sucks at his little, like, creepy stripper killer guy.
Yeah, he's like a serial killer of strippers.
He's supposed to be maybe comic relief, but you can't tell because his crimes are so heinous.
And
right?
He's not. Yeah, why would you laugh at anything he says? And plus, it's really not funny. And then they dig up Clarence Williams from Tales from the Hood out of the jail cell at the end of it.
Was that Danny Trejo also in there?
That was, I think you're right. It was Danny Trejo.
That's what I was thinking. That text was like, this is a star-studded prison. I was like, you're making a cheap horror movie, and Trejo and Clarence Williams are like just throwaway characters. Danny Trejo doesn't have a line. He's up there for like 3 seconds.
It seems like if you were going to job out the main two characters from the first movie, you do it right away. You don't start
get close to someone else. Yeah.
Yeah, you don't start a new subplot where they're meeting with the police chief or whoever it is, and he sends them to a psychiatrist. And now we're like, we're going to take you off the street. So now we're dealing with that storyline
because of the horror movie sequel, just bullshit thing they do. Guys, you're crazy. It didn't happen. They do that in every single sequel where someone's trying to tell you, hey, like Phantasm 2. Hey, man, all that crazy stuff, it didn't happen. You're nuts. And they send you to some doctors or stuff and then later on, everyone's like, oops, you're right.
Then Bruce Campbell's like, I'm okay with, hey, he tells the psychiatrist, hey, don't put anything down. She said, I'm okay with all this. I can pretend it never happened. I got to get paid. Yeah. And the chick is like, in her broken English, she's like, no. Anyway, he goes up to some blind guy that I think was in sleepaway camp. Might be James Earl Jones' brother. I don't know that for a fact. I will fact check it and put it above me right here if it is.
I saw that there was like an Earl Jones in there, and it maybe do a double take. So you might be right.
I think it's the cook, one of the black cook from Sleepaway Camp. He's a blind black newspaper guy in this movie. And Cordell just walks up behind Bruce Campbell and stabs him in the throat with a sword. Like nothing's that. And then he's dead. And we get to see him on the slab. In the meantime, we're introduced to Robert Davi before this, who, like Tim said, is casually just shooting a guy that's jumping out a window and goes, don't worry, he's alive. Too much paperwork, as he walks away.
He's immediately the coolest guy in the movie. I'll give him that.
It seems like he should have been bigger.
Did he not? I mean, think about, and I'm not a cinephile, and I don't know the business, and I don't know how residuals and royalties work, but if he gets anything at all from the movies he's in getting replayed, like think about, he started in the late 80s, right?
Yeah.
With a lot of his stuff. So you have all of cable during the 90s. Like surely that guy's doing pretty well for himself.
Goonies and Die Hard. That's all I remember him from.
He was in a bunch of stuff, man.
Hold on. There's something I want to talk about, and it's sort of going to take away from Maniac Cop, and maybe you can help me out.
Right.
But I remember a movie where Robert Davi's wouldn't get hard, and his wife was laying in the bed with him, and he was just like, won't get. And then something happens where like two people come through the window, or there's like a fight. Like there's like whoever the main characters are like fighting in the bedroom, maybe threatening him. And you see a gigantic rise underneath the covers to like tinted, like Native Americans live under it. That's right. How tinted it was.
Right.
And then after they leave the room, the wife goes, are you okay? And he says, speak into the microphone, baby. I remember that. I mean, if anybody in the comments could tell me what movie that's from.
Saw that? How old were you when you were exposed to that? Like 7?
Like 10, 11. I was a normal age.
Old enough.
Yeah. So I remember that.
Let the boy watch.
Like I did, and the ones before me. The story turns around, like Tim said, and it's Robert Davi and this shrink, and the shrink witnesses firsthand Matt Cordell kill the blonde chick. So now she's on board with Matt Cordell's alive.
But meanwhile, we can't skip over the whole she's handcuffed to the steering wheel, but through the driver's side window. So her body's outside the car, and he sends the car going. And and the whole thing is somehow she doesn't die driving down the street for a solid minute and a half with like no gas, no brake. You're just going. She takes this ramp, and you look at it when it lands. And apparently there were no like female stunt women that could do this back in that time, because you got this seriously bulked up dude in a dress like taking that landing, and then it cuts back to her. It's probably the same guy that had to jump off the pier when that truck fell.
Don't all handcuff keys work with handcuffs? Like the cops go, we got to get some handcuff keys. You're a cop.
So.
You get keys?
I believe so.
Yeah, that's one of the notes I put down. But it becomes like it becomes like a cover-up crime movie with Robert Davi. We get a backstory of Robert Davi where his partner committed suicide, and he talked
After
him.
he convinced him not to go see the shrink.
Yeah, and he just tells the shrink that I'm not coming in here. I told. By the way, I mean I thought you could like drag that out to the end and let him come clean. No, he just tells her off the bat, I'm the one that told him not to come in here because you're a piece of shit.
No, I feel guilty about it.
So we had that, and he's doing all the detective work trying to figure out about Matt Cordell. They sort of minimize the importance of the female survivor from part one when Robert Davi immediately is like, hey, did you kill him? Talking about Bruce Campbell. They heard you guys were fighting. And I mean, he treats her like a piece of shit, and she's a cop. I didn't really like that part.
Because the commissioner who has to come
Yes.
clean in the end told him to, and
You're
then
right.
Davi's like, I hated doing that. That's bullshit.
You're right.
And that's what makes him start thinking, like looking into the guy. So at least it was a plot point that
Yeah.
needed to happen so he could, you were checked out by then. You missed it. It's fine.
You're completely right on that. I missed that. No, I didn't check out till later till this like
We get when they got underground. I couldn't stand this like stripper killer dude. Like he sucked.
No,
Like that
he's
character was
bad.
terrible, and he got a lot of screen time because you've killed the protagonist. Now it's the Cordell and Davi show, and this is the filler we got.
you're my friend, Cordell. Come on back now.
It was bad. So I went from that straight to like the other stuff.
Yeah, you should have because you missed nothing.
No.
Did we ever get a Matt Cordell versus Robert Davi showdown in this movie? I don't think we did.
No, because Davi was responsible. Like Cordell, he had the face turn before that had to happen.
Yeah. Cordell shows up at the police station, like Tim says, and kills like 30 cops. And then
the most
Davi,
amazing scene ever. Like it is great.
he breaks Charles Manson out of jail because they arrest Charles Manson. Like Davi knows where he's going, so he goes back to Manson's house. That's the reason he doesn't get killed. Cordell comes through there and kills everybody. He takes the psychiatrist lady. He takes Clarence Williams III from Tales from the Hood, and he takes the Charles Manson wannabe. They get on a prison bus and they go to prison, and they let them in there. And like Tim said, he kills everybody in there. In the meantime, Davi has taken the police chief. He says, you're coming clean. And the police chief puts a gun to his head and says, I'm not coming clean. And then he has a crisis of conscience. He goes, okay. So they pull up at the prison, and the police chief gets on the megaphone after Robert Davi says, hey, Cordell, you need to listen to this. And the police chief just tells him, look, we were all responsible. You're a good cop. Your record's going to be wiped clean. We'll make sure that everybody knows you're a hero.
You'll get the burial. You'll get the hero cop burial.
And he just flips the switch and decides to kill everybody in the prison, including his buddy. And here's the one thing.
It ramps up in awesomeness. Like, they knew what they were doing. He just had this awesome cop scene like 2 minutes ago. Like, they went straight from the station to this prison thing. So how do they do it? They set him on fire.
Yes.
So he's on fire, and he just starts destroying all the people that killed him in the prison back in the day are there, and he gets his revenge. And there's the cool shot where he's on fire and he reaches toward the camera, like he's reaching toward the guy, and it doesn't look crappy. Like it looks really awesome.
They got a lot of mileage out of that footage from the first movie where they show him in the shower getting stabbed in the face over and over.
They did, because it's not like this is a very long movie, and we get a lot of flashbacks too. There's 15 minutes of flashbacks. It's an hour-long movie.
The face on Matt Cordell was awful.
What is that?
Shit.
Represent?
I'm guessing he's supposed to be a cadaver. It's awful.
Okay.
I mean, I don't.
Well, they gave him the Skeletor nose. Like, I know it's supposed to be a skull, but there's an actual massive Robert Zadar face under there.
Was that supposed to be a skull?
I mean, the nose, it's the bone, right?
No, I'm talking about, was his whole face white because it was supposed to be a skull?
There's no way that, no. I think it was just supposed to, I don't know. Because there were scars on it. You can't scar a skull.
You're right. Maybe that was just dead. I don't know. Dude, it was awful. Whoever decided that was a good idea, that was, because there's so many scenes where they show his face that it takes you away. And then he's sitting on the bus, riding with him on the bus, and the black guy and stereotypical And Cordell hits the stick, and he's like, no.
It's nice. Edit in case you missed that. So I forgot what I was going to say.
I know it happens.
Coolest Robert Zadar Cordell entrance is when he's when they figure out he's at the station because they're at the firing range, and he's behind it in the darkness, and all you see is like the gunfire from the dark, and then he steps out. I was like, this is going to be badass. Last 15, 20 minutes of this movie is pretty great. It's not horror, but it's awesome.
This movie's a lot better if you don't introduce the other serial killer and you just have Maniac Cop go to the police station and kill everybody. And now he's going to the prison to kill everybody responsible for him being dead. And in the process of killing all those people, they let him know, hey, we screwed you over. We're going to make it right. And then he just he burns himself to death. It's
weird that this is so action oriented when Maniac Cop 3 tries to be a horror movie again.
I know.
A crappy horror movie.
It was awful.
Yeah.
All right, Tim, that's going to do it. What are you going to rate? We're so inconsistent what we're doing this month. What are you going to rate Maniac Cop 2?
I really liked it, except for that. There's that 15 minutes of him and that dude really brings it down. 7 out of 10. You don't bring in the stripper killer. It's an 8 out of 10.
6.5.
And I did skip that part.
Yeah.
You have to skip that part. If I had to watch that, it'd probably be like a 5.
Yeah, it's a 6.5 for me. And I think I'm being super generous. The makeup was terrible, but I like the story a lot better. They jobbed out. I mean, they did something different. They jobbed out the 2 heroes from the previous movie. Yeah. So they could have played it safe and let those 2 been the protagonist again. They didn't. I think Davi and this psychiatrist were more interesting as characters than those previous 2. So it all worked out. Maniac Cop 2, Tim.
Fantastic. I'm glad I watched this. You're a good.
All right, guys, hit us in the comments. What did we leave out? What'd you think of the review? How awesome is Tim's hat? And we'll see you guys tomorrow.